Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our KingsCrowd webinar series. I'm Chris Lustrino, founder and CEO of KingsCrowd. I founded KingsCrowd to provide investors the data and information they need to make smart investment decisions in startups and other alternative assets available online. Online startup investing is a powerful tool for creating wealth, but it can be hard to do. Good investment opportunities are spread out across many platforms, and finding good information can be time-consuming. We want to make this process easy. Our product gives investors all the tools they need to invest online. People can discover new investments and access data-driven analytics to identify the best investment opportunities. They can also receive detailed reports from our top-notch analysts on what to invest in and track their portfolio and current market trends. KingsCrowd is here to make it easy for all investors to achieve their wealth goals. Whether that's having ample retirement funds, providing college tuition for family members, taking that vacation abroad that you've always dreamt about, or something else. And we do that by giving you a suite of actionable investment intelligence tools, all in one easy-to-use site. We're currently raising capital to invest in several growth initiatives, including investing in our product development. I've asked our VP of Product, Belley, to join me here today and walk you through how we're improving the KingsCrowd user experience and how that will create more value for investors backing KingsCrowd. So with that, I'll kick it off. Brian, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Really happy to be here and share some of the amazing things that we're building here at KingsCrowd and just helping to enable investors to make more informed and confident investment decisions.
Could not agree more. So Brian, before we kick it off, I think it'd be great for those who don't know you, give us a little bit of background about yourself. You certainly have a unique background, and then let's hop into what you're up to here at KingsCrowd.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have, I guess, a little bit of a non-traditional background, you could say. But then again, what is a traditional background in the startup space? So I was actually an aerospace engineer. I was an aerospace mechanical engineer for 10 years. Loved it. Got to work on some really incredible projects, technology, and everything else. But I'd always had this interest and this passion for investing. And I might have been doing engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace during my day job, but always going home at night and on weekends and investing, and got into the alternative space pretty early on. And so, when the Jobs Act and Title III equity crowdfunding launched in 2016, it was just super exciting to me because as a non-accredited investor at the time, this is something I really had wanted to get involved in. Everyone wants to invest in, the next startup that's going to be big, or just that startup down the street, or, that founder down the street who's doing something really awesome. So with that, I actually decided to form a company called Crowdwise around that and help with educating new investors who are coming into the space. So, developed some courses, made some portfolio management kind of tools built around just creating this startup portfolio. And then, shortly thereafter, Chris, came across you guys in KingsCrowd, actually invested in one of your earliest rounds myself in 2018, and then started kind of, working on some part-time projects with you guys until we formally, joined forces, and KingsCrowd did acquire Crowdwise last year in 2021. So since then, I've come on as, kind of the vice president of product. But as a startup, we all wear many hats. So getting to, just loving to talk to customers and figure out what are their pain points. How can we help investors just be more efficient, make more informed investment decisions, and give them, the data and analysis that they need. So that brings me to where I am today. And, I've been just super happy to be a part of this team. Chris, amazing leader, obviously. It doesn't have to, goes without saying, but he's just attracted an incredible team. And we're really passionate about our mission and what we're building here.
Well, thanks, Brian. And I think you gave away what it is that you used to do with that rocket photo in the back that I'm always looking at. Well, let's get into it. So we have some really powerful tools, really based around kind of three key components as I think about them, which are search, diligence, and management. We'll get into what each one of those is about. But Brian, could you pop up kind of the site and just give us a walkthrough of some of these powerful things that we do for our customers here?
Absolutely. So as Chris mentioned, we do focus on kind of, the search, the finding the deals for the people. How do you, out of this huge universe of all these different funding platforms, how do you find the deals you actually want to invest in? And then kind of that phase two, once you find a deal you're interested in, how do you research it? How do you do diligence? How do you actually know that it's a good investment opportunity or not? And then lastly, one of the things that I think, a lot of people might not think about at the time they make the investment, but you need to track that investment over time. Both as part of a portfolio, if you're really, kind of interested in building a diverse portfolio, but also just getting updates. How do you know if your company has raised another round or, if they're being successful or not? So that's what we enable. And with a lot of our tools, we try and help investors across that whole life cycle, from the finding to the researching to the tracking of the deals. So some of the different things and the different ways that we engage in each of those parts is that we have a rating system where we collect hundreds of data points on all the companies that are raising online in the private capital markets. And with that data and those data points, we've constructed some really interesting algorithms to be able to rate companies against each other, kind of as a cohort, and then be able to help investors know, where is this perhaps stronger than other companies, and where maybe is this deal a little bit weaker than other companies, from everything from the price to the team to differentiators and more. In addition to that, that's kind of the numerical ratings that we offer. We also have analytics and analysis reports. So these are really deep dive written by our analyst team who are doing this day in and day out. These are the people who know startups. They've looked at all these deals across all the platforms. And so they can catch up on a lot of the nuances and can basically take it and boil it down to what are some of those concrete things that investors need to know, and what are the things that maybe got missed on their, the campaign page, or some of the nuances of the campaign. So we really break it down in terms of those analytics and the research.
So Brian, let's get into looking at our company search table. I know it's one of our most used tools. Trying to navigate this landscape right prior to KingsCrowd existing was really, really challenging. And why is that? It's because there's nearly 40 marketplaces now where you can go and invest in individual deals. And I have to tell you, we're seeing consolidation occur, and now we're seeing all of these new platforms reemerge. And then in addition to, we're seeing a lot more of these independent raises, AKA they're utilizing something like a broker dealer, but then they're going off and listing their own offering page separate from a marketplace. So trying to navigate this landscape is becoming increasingly complex, but this search table is pretty wild. So Brian, let's talk a little bit about what you can do here and how you could get to a much easier universe of searchable investment opportunities.
Absolutely. So, one of the pain points I'm sure all the investors out there must know is there's just so many deals now. When this started in 2016, 2017, there may be a handful of deals each week that launched. And it was honestly, as a part-time investor or someone doing it as a hobby, you were able to keep up. Now there's just so many deals across all of these dozens of platforms. To Chris's point, how do you find what you're even interested in? How do you sort through the noise to then actually take the few that you're interested in and do deeper diligence? That's where our company search table here comes in. So let's take a use case. Let's say that once a week, I want to come back here and find kind of all the new deals that are interested in a certain sector, say healthcare. So what you can do is you can search. Let's just take a look at active deals. Now, that is to say that our database actually goes back to 2018 and even before. So we have literally thousands of data points and raises, and it has hundreds of data points. What we're really doing here is just exposing a small amount to allow people to search from. But as we're going to talk about kind of later on, that's one of the things is we're going to be opening up more of these criteria to allow investors to search and filter and just have more powerful search at their hands.
So Brian, just quickly, yep. How many companies are active today?
Yeah, so right now active 658, which again, that's a huge number to try and think if you're doing this part-time and you want to go through each one of these, how do you manage that, right?
Yeah, that's wild. 658. So just to be clear, there's 658 individual companies you can invest in today. And just to add to that, our analysts right now are seeing anywhere between 30 to 50 new companies a week going live. So it's like trying to manage this growing universe of investable opportunities is completely unwieldy. And here you have all of them in one place. So that's a start. But now let's get into kind of taking some further filtering steps to get you to a universe that you actually care about.
Absolutely. So let's say you have an interest. Let's choose healthcare, for example. I'm going to go to the industry, turn off all the filters, go down to healthcare and pharmaceuticals. Right now, you can see of that 658 we're just looking at, we've already narrowed it down to 60 healthcare companies currently raising. Now, there are different styles of investors. Some might be kind of later stage, prefer a little bit more mature companies, higher valuations. People might want some lower valuation, earlier stage companies. So let's say we're going to take a look at all companies with a $20 million max. So right there, with just these three filters, we're down to 34 healthcare companies under a 20 million valuation currently raising. Now, one of the other things that KingsCrowd does offer are ratings. And this is an edge level feature for us, which means it's our intro level, kind of beginner level in terms of membership. And what you can do is you can sort these based on ratings. So let's just take a look at all of these deals that are rated 3 stars and above. Now we're down to 21 companies. And if I wanted, in addition to filtering, you can also sort, and we could say, let's take a look at the top rated healthcare companies currently raising online. And here they are.
So now you got yourself down to the top 10 that are really worth spending time with. You say, okay, I've cut out the noise. I've cut out everything I don't want to look at. Here's about 10 companies that are worth my time. So what would have taken, I mean, I don't know of anyone who would actually do this, but going to every site, looking through every deal, because you can't just filter for healthcare on nearly any of these platforms, many hours, I would say. Now you're down to your top 10. So that's the search component. Let's get into the diligence component. How do I actually know if this is a good investment or not and start doing some of my own due diligence?
Absolutely. So each of these companies listed here that's currently doing a raise has its own page. And as we can see, if we blow this out, there's some more information, minimum investment, regulation type, other things. But let's take a click on this for a second and jump into this company, for example. Now, each one of those companies on that table has its associated raise page where you can go in and start doing diligence. So as you can see here, this is the company with the rating. You can take a look at all the different deal terms, right? What's their valuation cap and the discount rate? In this case, it's a safe. You can take a look at, how much they're raising. You can dive into momentum, how are they doing over time, company profiles, and things like that. Now, in addition, you can come down to the rating section, which this is where you can dive in and take a look at each of the different areas that KingsCrow'd is rating them on. So there's an overall rating here, price, market, team, differentiators, and performance breakdowns. And you can jump into each one of those and take a look at more detailed ratings here.
Yeah, Brian, just quickly, one of the things that I really like about this tool, an approach that I take, and everyone should take an approach that's comfortable for them, but what's really cool about this is that you can take 2, 3, 4, 5 companies, look at all of them, and see where their strengths and weaknesses lie. So for instance, this company has a really good valuation in a pretty solid and growing market, but its team is relatively inexperienced in comparison to other companies that are raising capital. And I really like to invest in strong teams. So I might decide to nix this one and go where there's a company that's maybe higher valued, but I'm paying up for a more experienced team. And that's the cool thing, is you can really start to splice that data out and understand where the strengths and weaknesses of each business lie, which is very, very powerful.
Absolutely. And in addition to those baseline kind of ratings, we also do risk ratings. So here, lower being better for lower risk, but we assess them on 8 different areas and give an overall risk rating as well. So looking at it from that perspective, right, you can see actually pretty low risk, across the board. But there's one other thing I wanted to show. So let's take a look at one of the companies where we have an analyst report written for. So we're going to jump into this company. So you can see here they have their raise history over time. And if we go down here, there's an analyst report. So the analyst reports are written by our team of professional analysts who look at these deals day in and day out, and breaks it down into just really easy to understand terms, covers the real highlights of the deal across different areas. Again, similar to the ratings, right, of price, market, team. Also gives you bearish outlook. What are some of the reasons you might not be as enthusiastic of a deal towards a deal versus bullish outlook? What are some of the reasons to be really positive about a potential investment opportunity? And then an investment executive summary as well. Now, we do offer different types of basically analyst reports. So this one was a neutral rating, but deals that are really kind of the cream of the crop in terms of what we think the risk reward and the investment potential would get a top deal rating. Then we have a deal to watch, neutral, and also underweight. So again, trying to provide those investors, all the investors out there, with that actionable investment intelligence and being able to kind of take all the information that we've seen and boil it down to something that they can understand.
And there's something cool on the right-hand side of my screen, maybe it's your left-hand side, the bullish bear score. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So this is a feature we actually have introduced, which is now going to be rating companies, based on kind of a crowd score. So me as an individual, let's say, if I feel really bullish about a company, I can go and click bullish. I can put in a reason that I want to vote here, whatever the reason might be. And then if I wanted to vote, it would vote it and record it. Now, once each company, each raise receives, a certain minimum number of votes, we then display what that threshold looks like in terms of how many people in our crowd are bullish on a raise versus how many people are bearish, which is really interesting because now you're not only getting the analytics from, the data from the campaign itself, you're getting the input from the analyst team, and you're even getting that community score in terms of what is the KingsCrowd community feeling towards a deal.
Yeah, so for those who are listening, certainly Whether you're investing or deciding not to invest because you're bearish on a company or if you're neutral, it's great to input this data. It's really helping us to collect a new kind of crowd score data point that we think will be really, really valuable in time as we get enough aggregate number of investors utilizing the tool. And I can tell you, as an investor in KingsCrowd, if you've already invested or you plan to, so many of the things that you're seeing here today have been informed by customer feedback that we've received, where you want to see more filters, where you want to see more data points. And we've worked to add those things over the last, call it really 12 to 15 months. We've been adding new features. So your dollars are going towards building out the platform, making the product better, creating a better experience. And there is one last thing I want to show you, which is portfolio management. So you made your investment, now you made another investment, and you make another investment. Brian can tell you, I think he has well over 100 investments, maybe way more than that at this point. I myself, I think have about 25 or 30 investments. Trying to manage all of these individual investments across the various platforms becomes very unwieldy and challenging to do. So we've created a tool to help you manage the portfolio of investments that you've made. So let's dive into that and show you a little bit of what we built here for you.
Yeah, as Chris mentioned, this is just a sample portfolio here, but one of the pain points as an investor myself, I've actually made over 200 investments now and counting in all of these online platforms. And it just becomes a bear to manage that, right? You have safes that are converting, convertible notes that are converting, companies that are failing. Maybe you invested in one and something didn't get funded. Maybe companies are having follow-on rounds. And how do you track all this in one place? That was really the idea that went into the portfolio tool that we have designed here. And we've been adding some really exciting stuff, and we have some even more exciting things planned in the near future. So here's an example portfolio of just 6 investments that I've added to show how an investor would use this. Now, the first thing you can notice is we get an overview of the portfolio up here, shows you how much you've invested total. You can also set a goal. Let's say I had an investment goal to create a portfolio with $10,000 of startups. And then it shows you how much remaining you have against that goal. Then you'd actually jump down to the investments themselves. So let's assume that these investments had been made over time, just hypothetically from 2018 to the present day. This is what your investment portfolio will look like as you start building it out. So what you'll notice here that I'll point out is just a few things. First, one of these companies here says not funded. Now, every now and then you might invest in a company that you're really excited about, and just unfortunately, for one reason or another, the company has to pull their campaign. Now, a lot of times you probably might not even know that that company didn't reach their minimum goal and that money got returned. And you need to kind of know these things when you're managing at a portfolio level. So you get easy insights into which of your companies are being funded or not. And then you could go in and say, oh, okay, it looks like this one actually didn't hit their goal, and remove it. The second very exciting thing, that's a feature that we recently added, is this change column, which is tracking the valuation change over time. So when you invest in a company, as you know, it's at a certain valuation or a valuation cap if it's a safe or a convertible note. So let's say, just for example, we invested in 2018 in KingsCrow'd when they were on net capital, I believe, and they had a $2 million valuation. Now, looking at the latest valuation today of $45 million, it's progression over multiple funding rounds, over multiple years. This is an example of companies that are making progress. And so you can see here that that's a 23x change in valuation. Now, that's very exciting for an investor because you want to know on paper, right, what are your investments that are doing better than others so that you can use that to part of your process to help improve future investment decisions. Now, you can also see, let's say, for example, you want to invest in multiple rounds. We track all of that on KingsCrow'd so that you could actually see that you invested, yes, in the 2018 round, but maybe you decided to invest again in 2022. So you can track that. And as you can see, because that's the current raise, it hasn't been a change in the valuation, so it's a 1x. But as you can see here, I can search and tag things as well. So if we wanted to, you can sort, basically say if you're investing using your Alto IRA or other account, you can tag that here so you know which ones are taxable versus non-taxable accounts. You can put custom tags. Maybe you got waitlisted on certain investments. This allows you to track everything in one place.
Now, if you could just show quickly the add investment feature so you could see that when you go and you input a company, once you put the data in, then we'll be able to kind of figure out what round of funding you were in, what the valuation is, and really fill in a lot of that information for you.
So again, just using us for an example, if you were looking at KingsCrow'd, you search for the company name, Then you choose the funding round. Was it on Net Capital back in 2018? Was it on Start Engine in 2019? When you choose any of these, it's going to show you the deal terms for that specific raise as well as the close date. And then you can change your investment amount, whatever you invested, put the investment date in there. You can add investment notes. Now, this is very helpful for the time being for tracking things. Maybe you purchased, 500 shares at a price of whatever it was. Maybe your safe has converted, in a certain investment. I kind of tease that because while we allow you to track that manually in notes today, those are some of the features we're going to be adding to the portfolio tool. Shares tracking. With the number of shares, we'll be able to start showing estimated value of your investments because we know a price per share based on the latest round. These are the really exciting things that we're trying to do to bring just more transparency, more easy management of all these disparate investments across all the platforms in one place on KingsCrowd.
And I know one of the other things that a lot of people ask for, and we just recently added it, is the CSV download feature.
Absolutely. So you have your own things you want to do with your data, right? And this is your data. So what you can do is you can go in and you can download this to CSV, and it will give you a CSV that then is essentially this table with all of the information, as well as the extra information as well, platform, security type, and any notes, sample note here, I was waitlisted. Downloads that all to CSV, so you can take that offline. If you want to run different analysis or pivot tables or add in equations to estimate valuations, you can do all of that yourself.
Nice. And then let's go to the analytics page where we do provide some analysis on your behalf, just utilizing our tools.
So the analytics page is going to take, from all the investments that I just showed and break it down into a couple different dimensions that can help you get a better idea of what you hold in your portfolio. So the first thing you'll notice is we actually do tell you, your female founders, minority founders, and social impact companies that make up that portfolio. What is the percentage of your portfolio? A lot of people are mission driven. They want to invest in, diverse founding teams or, companies that have that social impact aspect. And this allows you to track over time how you're doing against that. In addition, you can break down your portfolio allocation. Now here I'm showing regulation type, regulation CF versus A+. You can do it by securities, how many of your investments are safes versus equity, common and preferred, or by industry. Here, farming and agriculture versus, financial and insurance products and services. Now, another thing too is tracking your investment activity over time. Maybe if you've made, say, 3 investments in the past year, here for the sample investments, one in June, July, and December of last year, you can see how you're investing over time, where if you're trying to build that diverse portfolio of investments, this allows you to kind of stay on target to those goals. And then detailed breakdowns. And the more companies you add, the more detail gets added here. You can see the allocation in terms of the amount of capital invested in each company in your portfolio, as well as that industry allocation. And you can see here, maybe we have a focus on that financial kind of fintech sector and with the products and services, and you can see all the different companies that make up that vertical here.
It's a really cool tool. I obviously use it a ton. I know, Brian, you use it a ton. We are super users of our own products, so if you're wondering how we come up with these ideas, really 2 places. From our own brainstorming sessions, because we love this stuff. And then the second thing is listening to you. We have made an incredible amount of updates, and really thanks to Brian and the tech team over the past 6 months. A lot of those new portfolio features that you just saw are very, very new. So we're trying to add in more and more robust features to meet your needs as an investor and make the experience even better and even more powerful for you. So we really are investing heavily in R&D here. Brian, I just wanted to mention one other recent update. We've started providing some more Reg D 506C coverage for accredited investors. Can we talk a little bit about that and how that helps us kind of act on this vision of providing data across the entire spectrum of investable assets?
Absolutely. So yeah, when we started out, we were tracking the regulation crowdfunding Reg CF space, kind of expanded into Regulation A, Reg A+, which are some later stage companies. And as part of our mission and our vision to be able to be kind of everything in that pre-IPO space, that one-stop shop for investors, we need to add the accredited deals as well, or Regulation D. So what we've started doing is adding platforms, actually both 506C, which are the ones that are more public, where they can advertise, as well as 506B, which are maybe some of the private deals that you might invest on a syndicate on AngelList or things like that. So the important thing here is kind of twofold. One is by adding all of these deals, we're allowing all of you as the investors to track all of this in your portfolio in one place. The second thing is for those deals that are 506C, some of the ones where they can advertise, is we can actually run the same analysis, the same data and everything else that we have going on for the more public things like Reg CF and Reg A Plus for non-accredited investors. And we can help accredited investors start making more informed, more actionable decisions. So we're really excited. We're going to continue to expand our coverage in those areas, but we want to get some of those big platforms like the Our Crowds and Red Crows and other things like that, so that people, no matter what platform you're investing on, you can come to KingsCrowd to find the information you need.
And I think one of the other cool ones that we're adding very soon is actually a debt rating. We've been tracking a lot of the Reg CF rev share debt deals, things like SMBX, even some of the deals on WeFunder and Republic have been debt and rev share programs. We actually have developed an in-house rating algorithm for that, and that will be released in the coming quarters as well, which is exciting. So just constantly working to add in more and more data sets and more data coverage so that you can find everything you need in one place. Now, Brian, on the back end, something that people maybe not necessarily seeing right now is a much larger project that we've been working on and will continue to work on for at least the next 6 to 9 months. Talk to us a little bit about the new site design that we're creating and why we're investing in this right now.
Right. So our website today has been great. And, as anyone who kind of looks at startups and works with startups know, you got to get your MVP, that minimum viable product out there. You got to iterate, you got to figure out what's working, what isn't working. So we've been able to do a lot of great testing. We've gotten pretty far with our current website, but we're starting to hit the limits of what we can do within the current infrastructure on the back end, as well as, the front end and some of the different ways that customers interact and use the interface. So what we've been doing, and I'll share a quick slide here, is taking a look at our website and saying, okay, if we were to re-envision this, from the ground up, knowing everything that we know today, how would we make this? How would we relaunch this in something that's modern, that's very fast and performant, and that really helps investors, get to that info that they're looking for and help them make those investment decisions as quickly as possible? So what we're doing is looking at a complete site redesign where we're looking to relaunch all of our companies, kind of all the portfolio companies of KingsCrowd itself as a single brand unified experience. Think of something like Kayak, right? Kayak.com. You go there, it's easy to search, it's search focused, they know exactly what you want. We're taking that kind of model, that simplicity, and then weaving in all of the powerful data and analytics and everything else that KingsCrowd has to offer so that we can really make something that's just extremely powerful, super fast, and we're very excited about, a lot of the work that's going on here.
Absolutely. And this is a huge undertaking by the tech team that's going on right now. And a lot of the thinking here is to take so much of the customer feedback we have received on our current product and utilizing the current product and understanding that so much of what people want, it starts with search. And so if we could become a search first platform, that's going to be really, really powerful and enhance the user experience for all of you. Additionally, with the new tech platform that we're utilizing to build the new site, that's going to allow us to do some kind of unique things around notifications and whatnot as well. Brian, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Today, KingsCrowd is somewhat of a reactive site, right? You got to go there and you need to know what you're searching for. You have to be proactive rather in searching, creating your searches, looking through the filters and finding the companies. What we would love is more of an engaging experience where you can define these filters, like that medical med tech company that has a valuation of less than 20 million. And every time a new company launches that meets your criteria, you get a notification in app or email. Or maybe it's a portfolio company you've invested in that had a recent round where your safe might have converted. We're looking at adding all of these types of alerts to be able to, again, help make the investors just more informed in terms of what's going on and take some of that burden off of them, right? We know that everyone's very limited in time. I'm sure most of you are doing this part-time, you're investing on the side. Maybe some of you have it as a full-time gig, but just the world today is such a busy place. So we want to take all of this data that we have and help make the investors even more efficient, more informed, and more powerful. So adding these alerts, whether it's kind of in the app, in the website, or email, as well as some other things today that moving to a new infrastructure and tech backend is going to enable that we couldn't do within the current infrastructure today. So we're very excited about working through some of that and just releasing some of these new features that I think all the investors are going to find very, very exciting.
And one of the other things that it's going to create more flexibility around is continuing to add new asset classes. So I'm sure many of you who are startup investors today are really interested in investing in collectibles and investing in real estate and utilizing all the marketplaces out there for those asset classes as well. Just know that that's on the roadmap. Some of it actually we're already beginning to include in our backend database. So we are taking steps towards being able to add more and more asset classes, and hence why having a kayak-like site where you could search for car rentals and flights on the same site, you'll be able to search for collectibles and startups and late-stage startups on the same site. So we're trying to set this thing up for long-term success, creating a sustainable product and a really powerful product for you, the user.
Just echoing what Chris said, right? We're always looking at what our customers want. We listen to you. We listen to our investors, to our users. So if it's new asset classes, if it's new security types, maybe we'll see new kind of exotic token security types that pop up as crypto, and NFTs catch on more. We want to be on that forefront so that we're always helping to enable our investors to, be able to go and make these investments and track them over time.
Well, thanks so much, Brian, for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure to get to speak with you and learn more about all of the different dimensions we're working on regarding our product. We are making heavy investments into our R&D to make sure that we create as much value as possible for you, the customer, and in turn, for you, the investor. So if you would like to join us on this journey and be a part of helping us raise the capital necessary to build a world-class product, you can join us by investing at invest.kingscrowd.com. Anyone can invest, and when you invest, you own a part of KingsCrowd. And as we succeed, you succeed. I'm really looking forward to the future of our company, and I hope you've enjoyed learning more about what it is that we're up to here today. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.